Well, are you ready for some good news? I hope so, because we are in the good news business. Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower Show, and we're here, the Christian Whistleblower channel, and we're here to give you good news from yesterday to encourage you today and give you strength to face tomorrow. Now, this is good news for a change. That means a couple of different things because we're tricky like that. It means good news for a change because all you get from all these other low integrity, high fear individuals is bad news. But more importantly, perhaps it's good news for a change because once you begin to focus on good news, you'll begin to change. And once we begin to change, we will begin to change things. So it's good news for a change brought to you by Mistech. Go to the jeffreydaugherty.com website, click on any Mistech logo you happen to see, and you can get up to 20% off. Somebody says positive attitude helps. Your attitude determines your altitude. That's true. It's a little silly saying. Comes from sales generally, but it's true. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And whether you think it will or you think it won't, you're right, etc., etc., etc. So let's go ahead and take a look at some good news. And this is just good news from one single solitary day, ladies and gentlemen. One single solitary day. You can find this on jeffreydaugherty.com. And that's what the website looks like. Just go to the website, and up here, as soon as I get my cursor over there, up here on the right, you'll see blog. See that? Blog. Just hit that. And it will take you to the Good News for a Change blog page. Now, you see, you have to have some discipline. You can't cheat because June 10th, we've already got some good news up there. But this is the 10th, so we're going to go to the 9th's good news because remember, we're trying to encourage you today with all the good news that happened yesterday, so you'll be ready to face tomorrow. So, yesterday's good news, Trump campaign rallies to start begin in 2 weeks. That's good news. Good news because, I don't know why my background didn't change, but good news because, ladies and gentlemen, it means that they're not worried about the DOSOM WIST anymore. Good news because it means the economy is rallying again. And good news because it means that any bounce or any momentum that Sleepy Joe had is over. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to start holding campaign rallies again in the next 2 weeks. A Trump campaign official said on Monday, ending a 3-month hiatus brought on by the coronavirus pandemic, the DOSOM WIST. And you know what? I would predict that if they didn't have to, well, we won't even go there. I was going to say if we didn't have to stop the rallies, they never would have had the riots. But that's arguing about water that's already gone over the dam. Okay, so that's good news. Trump rallies will start again. And folks, it's like this. If you ever feel bad and you ever feel like you need some good news, just come on this website, jeffreydaugherty.com. Just hit that blog, and there's good news for every day starting a few days ago. And there'll be good news for every day. And if you ever feel really bad and you feel really down and you feel like all hope is lost, go on YouTube and watch one of the Trump rallies. So optimistic, so powerful, so joyful. It'll probably bring tears to your eyes. So there's 2 places you can always go if you need some good news. Here's more good news, folks. The job numbers weren't fraudulent. I heard stupid, plain out lies like, those weren't really new jobs. They just added the funding for those new jobs. That's called a lie. Commentators and economists alike were shocked last Friday when the government reported that the U.S. added 2.5 million jobs in May. Those are real people with real jobs. And my son, Josh, he's got 2 of them. He had one. He got hired to do one job, and then he got hired today with a big communications company to do a great job, full-time plus, benefits, the whole 9 yards. So there were 2.5 million jobs added in May. The funding wasn't added for 2.5 million jobs. It wasn't anything that wasn't real. It wasn't anything that wasn't true. There was 2.5 real jobs added in May. Real people working real jobs, spending real money. And the unemployment rate dropped to 13.3% from 14.2% a month earlier. Remember, they said we were going to lose 3 million jobs in May. Instead, we gained 2.5. Forecasters had expected the economy to shed 7.5 million. See, I like to be a little conservative. I know you people think that I go off with hyperbole and I say things that aren't true, but that's a very good example right there. I just caught myself being conservative. They said we'd add 3 million. Well, they really said that we would lose 7.5. So that's even more than 3. Not add millions to payrolls. Instead of trying to figure out what numbers meant, some of the president's critics were quick to challenge the numbers themselves. Paul Krugman, who we talked about in a Cousins Club episode, said that President Trump's team had gotten to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the government agency that produces monthly jobs reports. To his credit, Krugman quickly apologized. And don't think he apologized because he's a nice guy. Don't think he apologized because he has integrity. He's a LEMISH stooge. The only reason he apologized is because, what's her name? Kaylee? She stood up there and showed that bitch the numbers right in his face. And he had to apologize. So there really were 2.5 million jobs added in May. They expected 7.5 million to be lost, and instead 2.5 million were gained. That's good news. Feel good about it. Here's something else. Florida lawyer dressed as coronavirus Grim Reaper seen at crowded George Floyd protests. Why is this news? Well, there was this Florida attorney, just like these other low integrity, high fear individuals, who went out to the Florida beaches once they were opened after the DOSOM WIST. This attorney went to the beach dressed as the Grim Reaper. How freaking boring do you got to be to go to the beach dressed as a Grim Reaper? How long would it have to have been that you've ever had an erotic, intimate experience with another person that would make you go to the beach dressed up like the Grim Reaper? How unpopular do you got to be? Wow. But anyway, and he's a lawyer. He goes to the beach dressed as a Grim Reaper in an attempt to shame beachgoers into going home amid the DOSOM WIST pandemic. But now he's defying his own advice in recent days. Daniel Ulfelder has posted several photographs and videos to his Twitter account of himself attending crowded protests held in response to the supposed death of the supposed George Floyd. This dummy was going to the beach with far less people and dressed like the Grim Reaper, now going to huge crowded protests. Why is that good news? Because even the dummies, the low integrity, high fear dummies, they know the WIST is over. They know it was a farce, and they know that it is safe. So, you ready for this one? Some more good news. Michigan Supreme Court tosses Owasso Barber's order to close. The Michigan Supreme Court on Friday overturned a lower court's ruling that directed 77-year-old Owasso barber Carl Mankey to close his shop. We salute Mr. Mankey for opening his shop, and we salute the Michigan Supreme Court for making the right decision. They allowed this guy to open up again. President Trump says, in more good news, the economy recovery is better than V-shaped. It's a rocket ship. We're opening with a bang. We've been talking about the V, Trump said, referring to a V-shaped economic recovery, meaning that after the economy suffers a sharp period of economic decline, it rebounds just as sharply. But the president said and urged lockdown governors to reopen their economies. As soon as these numbers are, as good as these numbers are, the best numbers are yet to come because so many areas are still closed or very partially closed, he said. Folks, I've been saying this since day one, and I've been right, and I'm still right. It's going to be better than you ever imagined, sooner than you can believe. And I just shared this news with Cynthia, and I could go on and on, but all this good news from one day. So here's the last bit of good news for yesterday, and I could have had much more good news, but I know it's hard for you to win sometimes. We're not used to winning. And we've got to break ourselves into winning. And I've got to get you used to winning. I've got to get you used to good news. I don't want you ODing on good news. We can't OG. That would be over good, right? You can't OG on this news. So we're doing it in baby steps. The S&P 500 erases its loss for the year as stocks rally on reopening optimism. I explained to you the other day what the S&P is. It is an index that for 75 years has been the most accurate predictor of market activity. And the good news is for people that are in the stock market that as of yesterday, the stock market has recovered everything that it lost in this whole DOSOM WIST. Can you imagine how freaking strong the economy has to be? And can you imagine how freaking awesome you, the American people, are when we can shut this shit down for like 3 months? Just shut this shit down. And yet, in a couple weeks, we regain everything that we lost over that 3-month shutdown. That's because we some bad mamba jambas. We are the last generation of real humans. We are tough. We are strong. We are awesome. And we already turned this thing around. Get ready for the great American comeback. It's already started. Get ready for the first real rocket launch maybe in history. And that will be us going to the top. Jama says she still wants to be on top. Okay, Jama, whatever you want, girl. Anyway, the stock market rallied on Monday, pushing the S&P 500 into the green for the year. For those of you that never kept any books, when you're writing things and you're in deficit, you write red. You really write black, but he said green. That's okay. So the benchmark completed its wild round trip amid the DOSOM WIST panic, meaning we're back to where we were before the DOSOM WIST started, and it's freaking June. How many of you listen to these low-integrity, high-fear idiots that said, it'll never be the same? The economy will never recover. It'll never be like it was again in America. Here it is, June 10th. Exactly like it was. Who was right? This guy. Who's optimistic? This guy. Who brings the good news? This guy. Who makes the good news? All of us. Wow. Investors are growing more and more optimistic about a speedy economic recovery as states continue to reopen. Stocks finish the day at the highs with the S&P 500 jumping 1.2% or 38.46 points to a big number. The equity benchmark turned positive for the year in the final moments of Monday and has now bounced more than 47% off of its March low. Folks, we are kicking ass and taking names. What is clearly happening is the excitement of reopening is allowing a lot of these companies that have been casualties of the WIST to come back in force, said Stanley Druckenmiller, chairman and CEO of the Duquesne family office on a network show called The Squawk Box. Folks, good news. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of good news for June 9th, 2020. And just to show you, just for example, there were 6 pieces of good news on June 9th, 2020. Let's go back and see how many good pieces of good news there were on June 8th, 2020. On June 8th, 2020, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of good news. And then when we started this thing on June the 7th, we had how many? 1, 2. We only had 2 good newses on the 7th. Well, I just started it real late at night. So anyway, folks, there's so much good news going on that you can make a blog post every day just with the good news. That's how great things are. And we're giving you yesterday's good news to give you strength for today so you can get and make it through and conquer tomorrow. You got 2 choices. You can listen to the low integrity, high fear, bad news bitches, or you can listen to the good news. And whichever one you believe, you're right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Whether you think it will or you think it won't, you're right. And whether you think it's good or you think it's bad, you're right. And you will live in the world that you decide to manifest, to talk, and to believe. What's it going to be? How about good news for a change? And how about good news for a change? I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. You don't want to miss what we got coming up at 5:45 tonight. We are going to tell you what taking a knee is all about, and we're taking that back to the beginning. You won't believe it. If you're white, it might make you mad. If you're black, it might make you mad. But if you're human, it'll make you glad. 5:45 tonight, taking a knee, what it really means. We are ready to blow it up. Like, hit that button, because Pharaoh tells me if enough of you like it, it pushes it through an algorithm and gets us to another level. So push that button if you liked it. And if you didn't like it, push the down button. Just let your voice be heard. Push a button, up, down. Give it to me the way you want to. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We'll see you again at 5:45 tonight, Central Time. Thanks to Tracy Dyer, who says subscribe and slap that bell twice. Oh, tap that bell twice, she said. Sorry. And for the lovely Cynthia, who I will remain completely silent about. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, and you are the last generation of real humans. Keep asking questions. Keep questioning answers. That's how you unindoctrinate yourself. And then let's get busy.